Hey, what's up, y'all? This is AWTM, and on this channel, we review all the Queen's men. This is season 3, episode 15. It's entitled called Slippin', so let's go ahead and get into it. So this week's episode starts off right where we left off, where Madam was kind of checking Miss Tandy and telling her what she was going to do. And Miss Tandy comes around and comes to Madam's office and tells her that she's in agreement with everything and she's going to do exactly what she wants or needs her to do. So Madam was like, "Are you sure? Because I have a lot of money on the line." So Madam agrees to endorse her. The next thing, we have Madam getting on the stage endorsing Miss Tandy. She's going to introduce her, tell the crowd that she's been through a lot of things. And you know they all love Madam and they love the service that she provides with the men. So they're all for it. Anybody who's there will definitely vote for Miss Tandy. So she kind of talks her up and talks her story up. And then she introduces Miss Tandy out on stage. Miss Tandy walks out on stage and she tells her, don't end up with a toe tag. You better do what I told you to do. So Miss Tandy starts to speak and she, gives them all a word about her and what she's going to do. And she's very happy to be running for mayor. And that's that. Now, previously in the office, Madam also told Miss Tandy that's the last time that she will be in the club due to it not being a good look for a mayor to be in the club, in the strip club, and, throwing money and all of that. So she said, no more club for you. And even your dealings with Babyface, you're going to have to keep that on the low because you're not going to be able to do that and run for mayor. She's all smiles and everybody's smiling like they really like each other. And she kind of cheers them on and lets the crowd know this is who you want to be your mayor. So then we cut to outside and we have Detective Davis rolling up on Doc, trying to press him, wanting, what she wants from Doc. So Doc, like I said previously, he must be really putting it down because she wants it morning, noon, and night. So she couldn't wait. So she rolls up on him at the club and talks him into going to her car for a few minutes. So is Doc catching feelings? Is he slipping? We'll see. But Midnight actually sees this and he's going to go right back and tell Madam exactly what's going on. And he thinks Doc is tripping because he knows Detective Davis is a police officer and he doesn't understand why Doc is even talking to her, let alone about to get in the car with her. Now we cut to the locker room where Dumb and Dumber are there. They're discussing their heist, and I don't even know why they would discuss that at the club. It looks like somebody's lurking in the shadows, and as the image comes in a little bit clearer, it's Big D. They're discussing the robbery, that the worst person to watch over the house is going to be there. It's going to be a breeze. It's going to be a piece of cake. But I told y'all before, I do not trust Big D. I don't know why he's lurking in the shadows or waiting in the winds or what he's trying to hear. And he might be reporting this information to Madam, and who knows what he's doing with this information. Also, I was thinking about it, and that house that they're trying to rob, that could be one of Madam's houses or Madam's people, so they don't even know what they're doing. That's why I call them Dumb and Dumber, because they're always getting into some dumb shit. Back upstairs, Dime walks over to Blue and asks her what's up, and Blue is like, "What's up with you? I heard some things." And she's like, "I heard you messing back with Amp." And she was like, "Where did you hear that?" And she's like, "The club, the word travels fast around the club. So are you messing back with him?" And so Dime is in disbelief. She can't believe that Amp really told her business after she told him not to. We all know what happened in the previous episode. If you missed it, go back and watch season 3, episode 14, entitled Deja Vu. It will tell you everything. So Dime gets very upset. And she goes over because she looks at Amp and he's over here dancing with the women. And I guess it triggers her. You know how things trigger us once we see the same shit that we seen before. So I'm sure she was pretty triggered. And she goes over and she confronts Amp and asks him, why did he do that? Why did you go tell everybody? I told you not to tell anybody. You don't care about my feelings or whatever. And he was like, no, it was Babyface. He did it. But she was like, you didn't deny it, which he didn't. And so she's mad at him again and they're on the outs again. So it doesn't look too good for Amp and Dime at this point. So after Dime blesses Amp out, look who's waiting in the wings, listening again, Big D with his sneaky self. And Amp is like, I can't stand this, and I don't blame him. Now back in the locker room, Midnight confronts Doc about him seeing him with Detective Davis. And Doc explains to him that he's just doing what Madam told him to do. And Midnight is like, yeah, but don't catch no feelings. And Doc was like, I'm not. But we all know that Doc is kind of catching some feelings because he's letting her get away with a lot that he really wouldn't let someone get away with. So he assures Midnight that it's all good and he's just doing what he was told. So then Doc quickly changes the subject after he says what he puts down, and we know what Doc puts down. But anyway, he changes the subject and asks Babyface how are things going over in Tandy land. So Babyface, he thinks he's the man because he got Miss Tandy on lock and he has her doing all of these things for him. He tells them, Fuego is like, I know you don't have women coming over that lady's house. And he's like, yeah, and do. And I charge double and I use her SEX room. So he's actually having women, clients, come over to Miss Tandy's house and making money while she's not there. So he's living a life. He has this big, luxurious house to live in. And also he can still make some money on the side. And he's getting paid by Miss Tandy. So he is really feeling like and thinking that he is the man in this situation. Meanwhile, Amp is sitting there looking like somebody just killed his dog. He's upset because of the things that happened with Dime. And they tell him, maybe it's for the best. You're young. You can go do some other things. And he's like, nah, I don't want to do that. Been there, done that. So they try to encourage Amp to, kind of get over it and kind of be on his player stuff like they are. But I don't think Amp is feeling that. So we cut to Dumb and Dumber. They're actually in the car. They actually committed the lick that they were going to commit. They got all the money and they're feeling themselves. They're happy that they got away. It seems like they barely got away because Trouble actually dropped the bags at the door and woke the guy up from his sleep. So they did get shot at, and they were saying that, his car had bullet holes in it or whatever, but they are really feeling themselves because they got away with so much money. So they think Trouble also mentions that she lost her chain during the robbery, and she doesn't know where it is. And he's like, forget that chain. You can get a new one. You don't have to worry about that. And she was like, yeah, you're right. And you also need to get a new car. Now, I don't think this is going to turn out the way that they think it's going to turn out. Something terrible is bound to happen because they really don't think things all the way through before they do them. Now, back at Madam's house, Blue is giving Tommy a lesson on using different weapons. And he's like, I know how to work my way around a knife, and she's like, yeah, but this is not chicken. So this is the art of trying to assault people and unalive people. So you need some lessons. Madam is there. She's like, she's just there to observe. So she tells Tommy all of these things, and he's really not interested in it until she starts talking about how to put a pressure point on someone. She's telling him how to use a knife to someone's neck to again unalive them, and he gets interested in the pressure point conversation. So they're kind of training up and seeing how they can use their weapons the best way they can, because we know the concierge and his father-in-law are definitely after Madam, and they are not going to hold any punches when it comes to that. Now, Miss Big Old Freak, Miss Tandy, rolls up on DA rides or roads. I can't really figure out what they call her because it sounds different each time. But she rolls up on her and she tells her that they need to kind of keep things on the low, because you coming out and saying that you're going to take Madam down and saying that I'm going to help you is not going to help the situation. Madam's going to be on to it. So I don't really want to be seen with you. You don't need to contact me. Now, Miss Tandy did tell Madam that she was going to get DA Rhodes or Rides fired as her first order of business. So we're going to see how that plays out, because we know Miss Tandy, I don't think she's that trustworthy, and I don't know whose side she's on right now. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. So then we cut to Amp and El Fuego working out in the gym. And El Fuego is always having a bromance with somebody. I don't know what it is, but I guess he has a kind, caring heart. And he's telling him how proud he is of him. And Amp is like, I did it for Dime. And he was like, it doesn't just have to be for Dime. You still want to do this regardless. And Amp is like, yeah, but I really want her back. He starts thinking about Big D, and he starts hitting the bag really hard, and El Fuego tries to calm him down. But I really know that Amp has a real disdain for Big D, and he really doesn't like him. So that's bound to boil into something which is bound to be a bad situation between those two. Now, back at Champ's apartment, him and Trouble are there. They're happy. They're counting the money. They haven't learned their lesson because they brought Miss Tandy's money back to the apartment before and it was taken, but I guess they feel like Madam took it, so they're all good. But why should you have all that money? So they get a knock at the door and it's Rayshawn. So this is Dumb, Dumber, and Dumbest. So Rayshawn comes in. He's happy to be free and he's happy to be out. So he starts talking to them, asking them what have they been up to. They're kind of acting suspicious. So he notices that. So they try to change the subject and ask him about how does he feel about unaliving Miss Tandy's husband, Jack. And he starts to get sad about it, and he's easily deterred away from the conversation between them. They tell him not to say that he unalived anybody and he's going to be okay. And that's the end of that scene. Now, back at the station, DA Rhodes catches Casanova and tells him that she doesn't think that Miss Tandy is really on her side as much as she thought. So she wants him to get as much information on Madam as he can because she still wants to be able to take Madam down with or without Miss Tandy. Back at the club, Dime is getting the crowd hyped like she always does for the men to come out and do their feature dance. She's hyping everybody up, dancing around. Dime, I like Dime, but sometimes she's a little corny, but we ain't gonna worry about that because I like her. So the men come out and they're getting their formation to do their dance. They're in a huddle, in a circle, and they're rocking back and forth in the circle. It kind of reminds me of something like a sports team would do or something like that. But they're in their circle. They break out of the circle and start dancing. And we see the men dancing. I put a couple of extra clips in here this time on the men dancing because it is a sight to see. And hey, it's for the ladies. So men, you can skip over this part if you don't want to hear this part. But they did their thing. They were out there dancing and they did a good job as they always do. So before this show, I had a iffy idea about male strippers. I really wasn't into it or anything. But this show kind of makes me want to actually go to a male strip club or a male review. It actually even makes me want to think about opening up something like that because we don't have a lot of those kind of clubs for women, as many as we do for men. So tell me in the comments what y'all think about that. Would you visit a male strip club? Would you patronize it? Or what do you think about male strippers in general? So as the fellas are coming off stage, then we have Detective Davis. She catches Doc coming off the stage and she's all over him being thirsty as she usually is, all up on him. And he asked her, like, what are you doing? If Madam finds out if she sees this. And she was like, still all over him, all giddy and cheery, like, she's in love with him. And Madam is just watching them and she does not like this at all. So once that happens, Madam tells Tommy to call Doc into her office. Now, back downstairs, Dumb and Dumber in the locker room, Champ in trouble. And Blue says, I have a delivery for you, but I'm not the postman. So she gives Trouble a package, and it's actually Trouble's chain that she lost in the robbery. So now they are shooketh, all right? Because they're like, who returned this chain? And Champ is like, well, who is it from? It could have just been somebody that found it. And she was like, there's no return on this envelope. They know who we are. They know what we did. So both of them are scared now. They know that whoever they robbed is onto them. Then we cut to Madam's office and we have Doc getting blessed out. He's like, well, I'm just doing what you told me to do. And Madam is like, no, you catching feelings. And he was like, nah, I just want to do what you told me to do. I can cut this off at any time. I did kind of slip up, but I can get rid of it. So after she talks to Doc, she calls in Detective Davis. And look at the smile on her face. She's all happy, feeling good. She's lit. She's had her cheeks clapped out in the parking lot, so she's in a very, very good mood. And so Madam calls her in there and tells her, what information do you have for me? Why are you still seeing him? He's only seeing you because I told him to, and he's only clapping your cheeks because I told him to. And Detective Davis is like, why are you worried about it unless you want him? And Madam's like, I own him, and I also own you, and you're going to stop seeing him immediately, and I no longer need your services. So that just turned her whole mood sour. Madam is not messing with her anymore because she's not getting any information. She's getting too caught up in Doc, and that's not good for business or good for anyone when it comes to Madam's business. Okay, so we're at the end of the night, and everyone is tipping out. Amp tries to talk to Dime, and she's doing the mannequin challenge on him. She's not saying anything. She's not moving. She's not looking at him. And he's like, oh, now we're back to this BS. And he gets upset and throws his cash out on the table. Then Big D approaches and Dime tells him thank you. So he takes this as an open invitation, like everything's cool. She was like, no, it's not cool like that. We just don't have any beef. So, you know, Big D is still trying to weasel his way in. He tells both of the ladies, Blue and Dime, that they really look good. And they're looking at him like he's crazy. You know, again, we don't trust Big D. We don't know what his game is. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. So Trouble and Champ are kind of standing back and trying to, you know, just, I guess, blow off some time because they don't want to go outside by themselves because they know what they did. So all of the guys are like, what are y'all still around for? Move out the way. If you're not going to tip out, then get out the way. So they finally go ahead and tip out. After they tip out, Dime and Blue kind of look at each other. So I don't know if Madam knows what happened with Trouble or Champ or what, but it does look like they know what's going on and what they did, and it could be because of Big D. Now, as they step outside, they're still kind of hanging around the guys, and they're like, why are y'all around us? Y'all should have been gone. Like, they're trying to hang around them and stall, I guess, because they don't want anything to happen, and they don't want to be out there alone. So the guys are like, y'all amateurs, y'all need to get away from us losers. So the guys actually kind of walk off. So as soon as the guys walk off and Trouble and Champ are standing there by themselves, a van pulls up. The van pulls up and grabs both of them and puts them in the van and takes off, which is crazy, right? So we don't know who this is. We know it has something to do with the robbery and the things that they did. But after the van pulls off, the guys are like, what the hell just happened? And the episode ends. So we don't know exactly who that is, but I am guessing, and this is just my theory. Whoever pulled up on them, we know this has something to do with the robbery. Now, what we don't know is this a house that Madam owned or someone she knew, or who is behind this? Whose house was this that they robbed? So it could all be a setup, but we'll see. The guys are standing there, they're looking shook, and that's the end of this week's episode. So it was called Caught Slippin'. So Trouble and Champ definitely got caught slipping. Let me know how you feel about this episode and what you think in the comments. Let me know if you want me to do commentary on any other shows. And I definitely will see you next week with another recap of All the Queen Men or All the Queen's Men. I definitely have some different shows that I'm going to do in movies and all that. So make sure whatever platform that you're watching on, make sure that you like the video, get in the comments, let me know how you feel, follow me and subscribe, and I will see y'all next week. I thank you so much for watching, and this has been AWTM. Bye. Child, now I don't know what they was thinking about. Everybody's so messy. AWTM with the news you can use.